welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. What is Impact Leadership 21 doing to help prepare female leaders for the future? My guest today is going to bring us up to date on this very interesting organization. My guest today is Ms. Janet Salazar. Janet Salazar is the CEO and founder of Impact Leadership 21. Janet Salazar also serves as the permanent representative to the United Nations at the Foundation for the Support of the UN System. Janet Salazar, welcome back to Global Connections Television.
Thank you, Bill. I'm happy to be here once again. It's good to be reunited and reconnected.
Yes, it's only been about 5 years.
Yes, 5 years.
Entirely too much time.
Ran so fast.
It certainly does. Janet, we're going to get into your Impact Leadership 21, but I'm fascinated by this group that you're with. You're the permanent representative to the UN at the Foundation for the Support of the UN System. What exactly is that?
So the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations is a global non-governmental organization. We're accredited with the United Nations Economic and Social Council since 1996. We are in general consultative status, which is the highest accreditation you can get as an NGO working alongside the United Nations. And I have been a permanent representative for almost 13 years now. We are currently focused on the Sustainable Development Goals as our initiative since we started that. Of course, we started with the Millennium Development Goals, as you know, and then in 2015, when the United Nations adopted the SDGs, of course, we automatically jump on the bandwagon, and right now, all our focus and initiatives, from the foundations are towards collaborating with so many other stakeholders to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
I see. Now, with this organization, do you help inform the public in the United States and around the world about the work of the United Nations and how it's much broader than just peacekeeping and the Security Council, that type of thing, but
certainly
how you deal with these economic issues, social issues, migration, everything, employment, unemployment, educational levels, diseases, and on across the board?
Yes, certainly, Bill. Yeah, that's exactly what we do, and that's kind of like one of the mandates when you are an NGO affiliated with the United Nations. We have a responsibility pretty much to help spread the word about, common issues, and again, like at this point, is the SDGs, right? So covering even technology, infrastructure, education, which is very important, and all that. Yeah. So we have a very good system and resources of being able to do that job. And right now, we're very strongly promoting this in China, India, Iceland, and all over.
Oh, wonderful. Very good. Well, let's talk about Impact Leadership 21.
Yes.
What is it? When was it formed? What's its main mission?
Right. So Impact Leadership 21. Impact actually has a meaning. It's an acronym.
Oh, it's an acronym. I-M-P-A-C-T.
Okay. Yes. So I stands for innovation, M stands for multiculturalism, P is for passion, A is for attunement, C is for collaboration, and T is for tenacity. So we coined Impact Leadership 21 as a framework for global leadership. We believe that these 6 traits of a global leader, which is a combination of soft and hard skills, are necessary if you want to lead in the 21st century. And that's why it's called Impact Leadership 21. The number 21 is actually leadership for the 21st century. Because right now, with the 21st century, with so many things going on and such a demanding environment, global environment that we have, you have to have certain sets of skills as a leader if you really want to succeed. It's a very competitive business and non-business environment otherwise. So,
you have to have them.
You have to have them.
Obligatory, that's true.
There is no other way, yes.
That's right. And of course, our viewers can go to impactleadership21.com to learn more about what your organization does.
Yes.
And why don't we just jump right into the programs, and you can bring us up to date on what you're doing.
Sure.
The first one is the Emerging Global Leaders. We were just talking about that a minute ago. Development program. What is the thrust of that program, and what are you doing in it?
Yeah, I'm so proud of this program, Bill. The Emerging Global Leaders program, because we specifically target high potential young leaders to undergo this leadership program with us, and we train them in a very holistic way at the very high level. So exposure to the United Nations, being able to interact with different ambassadors and diplomats, and at the same time exposure to the corporation and business world. So like our partners with IBM, Bloomberg, Microsoft, Pfizer, we design a very holistic leadership program based on the impact framework to make sure that our young people who's got high potential in becoming world leaders one day get this training from us that's necessary. So we pretty much prep them. We give them all this necessary exposure to come up with a very well-rounded leadership personality, and it's been very, very successful. We've placed our alumni in the World Bank, in law firms, in so many missions at the United Nations. It's just been really, and then a lot of them are successful young entrepreneurs as well.
Now, is this a series of workshops or an ongoing training program? Does it last a certain amount of time, like a year or 2 or 3? Do you focus on certain areas, certain skills, certain developing areas of expertise, that type of thing? But do you do it just at the United Nations, or is it in other areas of the world that you hold these, whatever it is, workshop symposia, or whatever the case might be?
Right. Yeah, so basically it's based primarily in New York because of the United Nations component, and then the presence of Fortune 500 companies. So we do it New York, Washington, D.C. is part of that as well because of the White House and several other international organizations like the World Bank. But the exposure, like I said, is global. So for the most part, our students and participants come from different countries around the world, and they all gather here in New York and here at the United Nations to partake of this program. And you know what better, I think that strategically the symbol of having it here and being here at the United Nations is very important because of the global aspect of it.
It's very true, and also the talent that you have here. It's just incredible.
Yes.
I mean, this place is a magnet for CEOs. You mentioned Microsoft, you mentioned other companies, celebrities like George Clooney, Angelina Jolie, Michael Douglas. They come here quite frequently. But they lend their names to these programs because they believe in them and they know how important they are. Now, how do people apply for this? Do they go to your website? And how do you become aware of the program?
Right. So thank you, Bill. That's a great question. So we do have a database of our community, our global community. So every time the cohort, we call it a cohort, so we have spring, summer, and fall cohort, every time that's fast approaching, we push out notifications from us. And then so applications come in by submitting their interest to us via our email, communications@impactleadership21.com. So that's all in the website. And then a lot of them also are referrals from our partners. We work with different global organizations around the world who gives us referrals. Such, you know, like they already pre-qualify these participants on our behalf. And they just send them here.
They vet them for you.
Yes,
that's very good.
That's exactly what it is, Bill, because it's a very competitive program. So we've developed a network of partners. We have a very good ecosystem where we work with different partners, universities, private entities, internship companies or training companies from other countries as well, who already vet this for us, and they just send them here. And then we do the training and exposure.
Exactly.
So,
how many students or how many young people come through this program, say in a year? You've run it now for several years.
Yes,
but do you have
5 years.
a ballpark figure of how many come through a particular year?
So per cohort, we only accept until 25, up to 25 per cohort, because we believe in keeping the integrity of the training. I mean, in one class, you can only, you know, for you to have a quality absorption and interaction between the participants and the trainers, you can only have so much number of people. So we try to limit per cohort 25. Yeah,
Very
and
good.
keeping it that way keeps the integrity of the program. Yeah.
Exactly. And do you do a longitudinal study? You stay in touch with these students when they graduate from it to see how well they're doing as moving through the corporate world, moving through whatever their mission at home or through the United Nations system or whatever?
Yes, we have what you call the Emerging Global Leaders Alumni Club that we maintain, and what's so special about that, actually, for me, coming from a personal level, and then, you know, as the creator of this, is that the alumni are able to write me directly and call me directly or text me directly and let me know where they are. They thank me and they say, you know, that the emerging global leaders have played a very important role in where they are right now, like the World Bank people, etc. So that is, to me, the most rewarding part of this, is just to be able to hear from them firsthand how they have benefited from the program.
Well, it sounds like a fascinating program. You have another one called the High Impact Program for, quote, executives on the go, unquote. Yes. What exactly is that program?
So this is a fast track program.
Fast
so
track.
Yeah, the last one we did, this was with Pfizer. We had like 6 of the top marketing executives from Pfizer. Well, Pfizer is just across the street from the United Nations, almost, right? So we trained them for 1 week. And I mean, when you say high impact, it's fast track. It really is like the full day all the time, and it's super intense. And it's, again, founded from the premise of the impact framework, but a totally different twist when it comes to it being customized for the need of these, like, high-level executives, and like always on the go. They don't have much time to sit there and do training and do coaching and all that. So we have special trainers that do just this, and it's been really successful. Now that one is very, very customized. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It certainly sounds like it. Do you have a, well, I'm sure you do, how many corporations are involved in this overall, just roughly? I mean,
roughly right now, including NASDAQ, 11. 11. I could say, yeah, including NASDAQ. We have, the latest is NASDAQ, and then Pfizer, of course, recently came in. Sanofi is coming in. So we're getting a good traction in the pharma industry for some reason, maybe because of Pfizer. So Sanofi is coming in, actually. They're very interested. And then PNC is coming in, PNC Bank. Mm-hmm. So.
Interesting programs, without a doubt. Well, now, as we looked at the studies over the years, we've discovered that women are absolutely essential for any growth in any community, and that's one of the reasons that the United Nations, almost every, well, in fact, I would say every UN program to some degree, focuses on women, empowering women. And of course, you mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah. Sustainable Development Goal number 5 is to empower women. And it's just amazing when women become educated, when women have family planning services, when they're able to create their own jobs, many, what would you call it, microfinancing or get microfinancing, that type of thing, that they make a tremendous difference in the community. But you also have to have men. If we're going to create a better world, you got to have men involved. Yes. And you got a program to talk to men. How do you do that?
Thank you, Bill. Now, this is my ultimate favorite program.
Okay.
Because this is my brainchild. I created this, and it stemmed from the fact that when we first launched Impact, primarily we wanted it to be geared towards acceleration of women's leadership. After the 2 conferences, I sat there and I said, this is not going to work the way I wanted it to be if I wanted it to be fast. I said, and what could change this entire fight, right? The entire equality issue. And I looked at my own story, and I realized that in all my career life, I've always have powerful men behind me as mentors, as friends, as brother figures, father figure, etc. And they have helped shape me so much to becoming who I am right now, or who I was 5 years ago or so. And so I made that as a basis for creating these conversations with men. I concluded that, there is no other way. Women cannot do it alone if we want to have this equality and all. You have to reach out to the other side of the aisle. It's men's engagement that's a missing factor, because men still control the majority of the share of the pie. So how do you leverage that? How do you engage that? You talk to men. You get them on board, and let's just show them, the economic, even just the economic value of having women on the same decision-making table, and see how that doubles profit, how that doubles the effort, how that doubles resources, etc. It's common sense. Even Warren Buffett is, this is his kind of like battle cry. You got to involve men if you want to succeed in women's leadership all over. So, yeah, and so far it's been very successful. We've been getting a lot of support since we launched it from men who gets it, like yourself. You have me here for a reason, and I'm so grateful. And so we have to have more men like you who are supporting women in leadership.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guests. We would invite our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view previous programs. Also, if you're involved with any type of a PBS or community access television station, or perhaps you're involved with an educational institution that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you just have a website and you'd like to share our programs, please feel free to do so. Global Connections Television is provided free of charge as a public service to help us better understand international issues and how they impact our lives. Today we're talking about women and how to empower women, because they are going to be a large part of the force in the 21st century in helping to create a better world. My guest is an expert on many of these programs. My guest today is Janet Salazar. Janet Salazar is the CEO and founder of Impact Leadership 21. Janet, we're talking about men, and they do play a critical role. There's no doubt about that. Do you find that, as you've done this program over the past 5-6 years, something like that, that more corporations, more organizations, more men are becoming more receptive to being involved in this and to really work on an equal footing to help promote a better understanding and to look at some of the problems and to see what can be done, men and women working together as we move well into the 21st century?
Yes, absolutely, Bill. Yeah, it has, even from the 5 years from when we launched Conversations with Men, I've seen tremendous increase, like double, triple in the number of men supporting women. And I mean men who are in powerful positions, men who has voice to make things happen, who's got resources to support women's leadership at the very top level, political clout, business clout, etc. And these are the kinds of men that we need. But also at the same time, the number of fathers, like initiatives where fathers are really supporting their daughters, have been really another movement that has risen in the last 5 years. So overall, we're seeing a lot of these initiatives and movements coming up about men supporting women, boys supporting girls, and it's even stemming from the family level itself. Like back in India, I remember, I don't know, I'm sure you're aware about the Prime Minister's initiative before, having a daughter and having that as one of I think the most prominent initiatives they have in India since he took office. Is that embracing the fact that he has to support his daughter, if he wants equality moving forward. So that's a great example of really utilizing influence as a man to join in that quest for really just paving the way for equality, period. And at the end of the day, again, like I said, I want to see a world where when you say leadership, you don't say women's leadership, because you don't say men's leadership, right? So I do not use the word women's leadership, because to me, at the end of the day, leadership is leadership, regardless of gender. And that's the world I want to see. As leadership is men and women working together. And
that's the world we're moving into.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier the Sustainable Development Goals. These were adopted in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly. All 193 countries signed on to them. Very ambitious but achievable goals between 2016 and 2030. And to eliminate poverty, to provide quality education. Number 5, to empower women. All 17 goals are interrelated to some degree, and they're all very important. But are there 2 or 3, I know empower women is one that obviously you're very interested in, but are there 2 or 3 or 4 more that come into play every day when you're planning your activities that you're saying, well, here's Sustainable Development Goal number whatever, how can we bring it into what we're doing?
Yeah, for us, with Impact Leadership 21, the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations, and then our entire ecosystem of partners from corporate and government and nonprofit, it's all about partnerships for the goals, which is Goal 17. That is what we are very well known for. Like when we do this annual Power of Collaboration, which is, as you know, is March 5. It's coming up. It's our 5th annual Power of Collaboration. This is our pretty much call to action. Is that it's only through collaboration, it's only through partnerships from all stakeholders that we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, we can talk all we want as far as all these 16 others, but if we don't work together, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna, it's the same thing with the Millennium Development Goals. We achieve a little bit, but you know, I mean, the progress was slow because we believe that during those 15 years, there was not a lot of partnerships going on, like real, tangible, solid partnerships at the top level. So now we're seeing, even the first year of SDGs being implemented, we've seen, like never before, so much engagement from the private sector, business sector, Fortune 500 companies, giving all the resources, you know, being at the forefront to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So same thing with us, because of our interface between the public and private, we are very well in charging as far as partnerships for the goals, which is 17.
Exactly. And they're all very important. As you mentioned, you have to collaborate. There has to be a united front, especially in dealing with problems such as climate change. There's no one company, no one group, no one country, no one region going to solve this massive problem we're dealing with. We haven't talked about climate change. Which, do you bring that into your into your training, into your here's one of our major problems, our challenges for the future?
Yes, as a matter of fact, yes, Bill, when we talk about sustainability, you know, that includes our environment. When we talk about Fortune 500 companies that we're partnering with, we want to see that there is a right fit when it comes to their own value. You know, like, are their products friendly to our environment, for example? Are their practices friendly to our environment as well? That kind of little details we take into consideration, because like what you said, all the 17 goals play, you know, a very important role in everything that we do. And climate change is humongous. I mean, many times it's a cliche to even mention it, but if you really take a look at it, it pretty much is going to be the determinant of how we're going to be moving forward. Technology, everything, our wealth, that all those will mean nothing if we don't take care of our environment, if we don't take care of our Mother Earth, so to speak. Climate change is really impacting so many lives. I remember, I think I watched a documentary for Bangladesh a month or so ago about how the water level is really rising and how it's affecting so many people's lives, you know, living along those water areas. And I'm like, my heart was breaking. And it's not the way it's supposed to be. If things are done properly and, you know, we do better ways to care for our environment.
Exactly. In Bangladesh, is in a very precarious situation. It's one of the most densely populated countries on the earth. Within 5 to 6 years, 20% of the land is going to be underwater. The Bay of Bengal is coming in, and they'll have more population with less land. So it's not just Bangladesh. It's all around the world, and it's coming more quickly than we thought. Well, Janet, the hardest question in our last minute or so, 30 seconds or so we have. What do you see as, obviously climate change is maybe the #1 problem. What do you see as another one of our major challenges as you move forward to help work with corporations, with the United Nations, with other groups to train future leaders?
I think one of the greatest challenges we've had, and I think this is not just as of now, but really like throughout history, is really that common understanding among nations. And that includes peace and security. That includes economic, economic stability and just, you know, being able to move forward together with common goals as far as prosperity for all nations. That's what it is to me, has always been in history, the most challenging part. I mean, we do have our Security Council of the United Nations, for example, where all the member nations talk about global issues and then come up with resolutions, but I think it still is a far cry. There still is a big gap in terms of really coming together to solve global issues, you know, specifically climate change and migration and poverty and sickness and all this. So I always go back to that. It's a common understanding, and even if what we call a compromise for common good is achievable, we should do that.
And of course, our viewers can go to your website at impactleadership21.com to get more information on what we've been talking about today, and to see perhaps if there's some way that they can participate in your future activities and to be brought up to date on these very important initiatives that are underway to train future leaders and to work with current leaders to make their skills even sharper and more proficient than what they are. But Janet, it's really a major operation, and it's one that we need to focus on, and it's remarkable that you're doing all the work that you're doing. But I want to thank you so very much for being on the program today and bringing us up to date on a variety of activities that you have underway. And I'm sure that there are many others we did not have a chance to talk about, but we'll do that in the future. But Janet Salazar, I want to thank you so very much for a very interesting and a very informative program.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here as always. Until next time.
Until the next time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us today on Global Connections Television.